The following podcast contains spoilers for The Girl Next Door, as well as discussions on sexual assault and child abuse. You have been warned.
I don't really know how to start this. I don't feel like it should be the super enthusiastic.
Just do it.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. What's up, everybody?
Keystone film review. Put a little life in it before we get real sad.
Film review. We are Glenjamin Button and Miguel Magusto. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's gonna get a little sadness in this episode.
Yes.
Didn't know what I really walked myself into.
The second I knew, for those of you who are not aware or didn't listen to last week's episode, The Girl Next Door, the movie we're talking about, which you may have watched, you may not have watched, is based on a true crime that happened in 1965 that had the torture and abuse and eventual murder of a 16-year-old girl. So, since it's kind of based on a true story, this episode is not going to be as fun as it normally is. Mm-hmm. If we accidentally make a joke, it's just in our nature. We don't mean any offense by it. So
Yeah.
We apologize in advance. We don't mean anything by it. But yeah, I guess we should just get started. Glenn, in the past week, have you watched any movies?
Oh my gosh, I've watched a movie. Two movies, actually.
Yeah.
The one we had reviewed, it's up on the YouTube. You know how my case goes. It's the same every week. I'm just a silly goose who doesn't do his job or his hobby.
When it comes to the Stonies, you're going to be so far behind.
Oh my God, you have no idea. So first we watched Elvis. It's up on the YouTubes. Find out how we really thought about it. But I've been catching up on that damn show called Obi-Wan, and I finally finished it. You know, as a whole, I thought it was better than most of the other things that they've done. Mm-hmm. But like everything besides the last episode, I thought it was just kind of just okay. And
so
then
it has a nice cherry on top.
The nice cherry on top. I didn't like make it the best thing in the world, but you know, it's nice to see these guys back and, you know, reprising their roles and everything, and seeing that Hayden Christensen, through all the years of hate and now love that he's getting, that he came back, and you know, people are still happy to see him.
I never blamed him. I always blamed the writing. George Lucas is a shitty writer. He's got good ideas, but he cannot write dialogue for shit. Mm-hmm. And that is why I blame Hayden Christensen. I've liked him in everything else I've seen.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of like younger people love the prequels. I think Phantom Menace gets more shit than it deserves. Like, it's not great, but it gets more shit than it deserves. Mm-hmm. But Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith are legitimately bad movies in my opinion. But if you like them, that's fine.
There's a huge thing with Disney, Star Wars, and kind of just Star Wars altogether, is how much they're not showing how powerful these Jedi can be. Mm-hmm. And, you know, Sith, and like how like OP they actually are. You get a little hint of it in this, but like you never get that satisfaction of how like crazy and like the feats these guys can do. Mm-hmm. And like with the writing of most of these shows or anything, you sit there and you're like, this guy is so fucking OP, he could rip down a planet, yet he's having trouble jumping over this obstacle right here, and that doesn't make sense.
I mean, I genuinely do not know what OP means, so...
OP, overpower.
Oh, okay.
Very overpowered. Just, I don't know. There's a lot of like, just thoughts that people or characters should be having or doing, and they just don't do it. It's the writing. It's not really, you know, the actors or anything like that.
The writing has always been Star Wars weak aspect.
It's weak. It is. Some of it. But as a whole, Obi-Wan, you know, yada, yada. It was good overall. Mm-hmm. And then I've catching up to The Boys. Last episode was fucking amazing.
Shut your mouth.
Very, very crazy. That's all I'm saying. And of course, I watched The Girl Next Door, as did you. But I know you've got a couple in the back pocket. What do you got, Mike?
Surprisingly, I've only watched Elvis and The Girl Next Door.
It is a couple. I'm pretty stoked.
Yeah, I procrastinated hardcore this month with all my freelance editing I had to do, including stuff for KFR. So I essentially this entire week have only been editing at night, which is usually when I watch movies.
Yep.
So yeah, didn't really get much chance to watch any movies. Probably the least amount of movies I've watched probably since my honeymoon 7 years ago. Mm-hmm. When
It's kind of crazy.
yeah, I didn't watch any movies for 2 weeks because, honeymoon and stuff. Although I tried, but Caitlin wasn't having it. And yeah, so watch the Girl Next Door and Elvis. Elvis, we have a review. Girl Next Door, you're going to hear about right now.
Not so fun when it's your precious sister getting slapped around. Teach you to pick on people your own size.
You brought a cop here. After my mother!
Best policy, mind your own business. That's how you stay out of trouble.
So you think any more about it?
About what?
Getting big into the game?
We got our own game now.
You want to think about one thing, girl. Well, two things, actually. First, it could be your little sister hanging here instead of you. And second, I know some of the bad things you've done, and I'm kind of interested to hear them, so maybe this confessing isn't such a kid's game after all.
The Girl Next Door follows the unspeakable torture and abuses committed on a teenage girl in the care of her aunt or aunt, depending on how you say it, and the boys who witness and fail to report the crime. Directed by Gregory Wilson, written by Daniel Ferrans. That's the screenplay, as well as screenplay from Philip Nutman, and the book by Jack Ketchum. It stars William Atherton, Blythe Offarth. I'm terrible at pronouncing
I
things,
believe
so,
Offarth is correct.
Blythe Offarth, Blanche Baker, and listen, it's got Kevin Chamberlain, Daniel Manch, Mark Margolis.
Only in it for like 30 seconds.
Literally 30 seconds. I thought
Yeah.
he would have had a hotter second in there, but no, he was not. A couple other people in there as well, but
Yeah.
yeah. So this was what I said last time. Is I kind of found a page that recommended a bunch of movies, and this was on that page, and man, I kind of wish I wasn't recommended this movie at all, because holy shit.
Well, from my understanding, the other one based on the same subject, Sylvia Likens murder, with stars Elliot Page, and I think Catherine Keener is in it. That one's more closely related to the subject. Like they use the real names and everything, not just loosely based.
Yeah.
And apparently that one's better. Not that this one's bad, but like I just know critically that one gets more acclaim. But we don't know.
I don't know if I should call them companion pieces. They're on the same subject, but I don't remember which one is a little bit more hardcore than the other.
Probably the other one.
Yeah. But I think because of that, I think I chose the lesser of how hardcore it would have been for us.
That's fair.
And, it was still pretty hardcore, I must say.
Yeah. For those of you who
was...
want to watch it, the one with Elliot Page is An American Crime, and Catherine Keener, of course. And yeah, so. But the thing that baffled me the most about this is that it's The Girl Next Door. That is, it was released in 2007 and filmed around the same time. Looks straight up like a 90s movie.
It does.
Like it doesn't look like the same. If to compare it, like V for Vendetta was released a year before. King Kong was released 2 years before the Jack Black King Kong. So like the way that this looked, I wonder if it was done on purpose. I couldn't find any trivia about that, about the production.
To make it feel older.
Yeah, but it definitely felt like it was filmed more around the time of like Stand By Me or, Shawshank Redemption or something. Not that those are too close together, but it felt older than it actually is, and I was surprised by that.
It felt like one of those like sci-fi movies, at least like looks wise, like how they look and how the actors act. Obviously, it had that whole aesthetic to it, but not as bad.
Yeah. but this is quite possibly the least fun I've ever had watching a movie. A few weeks ago or a few months ago, I can't remember what it was, I watched an Italian movie called Salo, or the 120 Days in Sodom. That movie was not fun to watch, but that one was also not based on a true story. So I could, have that little vine to hold on to. This one, I watched knowing full well that Jack Ketchum specifically made it to follow the neighbor boy, David, played by Daniel Manchi, because he didn't want to go into great detail about what happened, and he felt like having that separation would allow him to withhold information. And even if if this was what happened, still quite possibly one of the worst crimes that ever happened in America.
It's still very rough.
Yeah.
And it's still, I mean, from the video you sent me, by the way, sounds horrible. I'm not a big person on listening to crime. I find them interesting, but I don't dedicate a lot of my time to learning about all these different types of crimes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So for homework, obviously for this, we got yelled at for Elvis for not doing our homework. So I'm doing a little, we're doing a little homework now.
Yep.
But for homework, I was like, I'm gonna learn about this a little bit, and before I watch the movie. But I kept falling asleep every time because I put it on right before I went to bed. So like listening to the guy talk, he's got a very soothing voice.
Yeah, Simon from Casual Criminalist.
Mm-hmm. So like, I kept wanting to learn, so I laid down. I was like, man, all right, I'm gonna learn about this. Passes out from that soothing man's voice and the horrible story that he's telling every time.
Yeah,
not meant to be a joke. It was just 5 nights in a row. This man put me to sleep.
Yeah,
in the most horrifying way possible.
Yeah, the thing I like about that particular episode and that entire channel as well, Casual Criminalist, is that specifically in that episode, like he says that their business model is to talk about the analysis of a true crime and not like the gore that a lot of other places do.
He wants to be like a CSI.
Yeah, he thinks people. He's kind of like you were, and me too. Where like if you're interested in the gore, what's wrong with you? For me, it's always been about analysis as well, where it's just like what happened in this person's mind that caused them to do this, and also I like learning about the lives. I don't want to say I like it, but like it feels somewhat like you're honoring.
It's intriguing.
It's intriguing, and it feels like you're slightly honoring the victims by learning their name and speaking their name and everything. So there's a little bit of I guess that's kind of like superstition. I'm not superstitious about it, but I think it's respectful to continue to say their name. And then in that particular episode, he does not name the actual perpetrator's name. You said you kept falling asleep at the part where he says they will only refer to her as VW. Did you happen to finish that video?
Oh yeah, I finished it today.
Okay,
it was a great episode.
Yeah, when they that VW stood for Vile Witch.
Vile Witch, and then the DS,
the
DS1,
children were DS1,
2, and
DS2,
3.
Demon Spawn.
Yep, Demon Spawn 1, 2, and 3, and the numbers were how bad those kids were on the scale. So 1 was like the worst kid, and then 2 and 3. But yeah, I learned obviously from the video. I learned a lot going from that. And man, I had never heard of this case at all before.
Unfortunately,
like I said, I don't look up crime or anything like that. But yeah, man, I'm not very like a squeamish person in any way. Like I've seen a lot of shit that hasn't made me. But like this was pretty hard to both listen to and just watch the movie. And I can only imagine American Crime. How bad that, because I'm probably going to end up watching that too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only speculating that it's worse just because it's closer.
I mean, I just forget, and I'm too lazy to click some buttons to find out which one's worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, fucking a traumatizing case.
Yeah.
And this movie, being, a little loosely based off of it, it's listening to that video you sent me and how none of the neighbors or any of the people around in the real life, the Sylvia Likens, nobody fucking helped this girl. And then in this, like, at least you had that grasp of hope. Is like, oh, at least they had, God, what's the kid's name?
Davey.
Davey.
Davey,
At
yeah.
least she had.
Donnie was one of the
Davey
shithead kids.
Yeah, the fucking shithead kids that mom kept bashing. But like, at least she had like a Davey. But in real life, she didn't have fucking anybody, and that was just heart wrenching.
And in real life, they made her sister beat her.
Yeah.
And like
so
she told her sister to just do it because there's no sense in both of them getting beaten. Like it's so it's horrible. And yeah, I had very little, and by very little I mean no fun watching this movie at all. The only saving grace is that the acting wasn't the best, so it kind of was a little easier to disassociate.
Yeah, but the chick who played Ruth was a little too good, and it scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, well, we have seen Ruth in another movie we talked on the podcast this year.
Yes.
Yeah, she was in 16 Candles. She played Molly Ringwald's sister who was getting married in 16 Candles.
Yep.
Completely different role.
Yeah, very different role.
She's fun and drunk in 16 Candles, and in this she's just horrible.
Off the rocker, shall we say. But yeah, I mean, as far as the movie goes, it's hard to watch, but like it's good hard to watch, I guess. Like it nails what it was meant to do. It was meant to show you how bad this was, at least on a loose base of it. And it did it, and it fucking made you despise everyone that's in it. And it was tough.
Yeah,
It's super hard to talk about.
It's so like I granted I've never been in anything even remotely close to this situation. But I remember that, like, you know, while I was taught to respect adults, I was also taught, like, the second that they disrespect you, it's not free game, but like you can just throw out the respect out the window. Yeah. So like to see like all these kids knowing, specifically Davey, knowing that it was wrong, but not doing or saying anything. And once the sons of Ruth really got on top of Davey and like started like pulling knives on him and everything, I understood then. But before, like the second you see a child hanging in the basement,
yeah,
like say this is fucked up and go get your mom. Like,
yeah, like sure, like they were cool with you before this girl entered your life and like all that, but you know nothing to the sure. Like he's a young kid, but you owe nothing to these fucking people.
That's
to
what
be
I
seeing
keep
this shit
reminding
happen.
myself is that first of all, it took place in the '60s. Kids were raised very different in the '60s. And not every kid was also 6 feet tall by the time he was 12 years old, like I was.
Yeah.
So like I might have had a little bit of misplaced confidence when I was 12 years old. I didn't, but like, you know, as far as like if my anger took hold of me, I might have. But so like I had to keep telling myself, it was like, they're kids, they're scared too, they're afraid, and they're told that parents or adults know better than them. Whereas like I grew up was like, you know, people were kind of generally terrible, and the second that they're terrible to you, it's no longer fair game. Yeah, or you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to respect them. So like, I just kept going back and forth. I'm like, just do something, just do something. It was just really frustrating, but you know, and especially like before the sons started pulling knives on them, because I feel, granted, to cast as many young actors in such a horrible role as they had to, it would have been a damn near impossible feat. But every kid that played one of her sons was not great. They were like the least intimidating people in the world.
Yeah,
and
especially that little shit Donnie.
That little shit Donnie. No, but like they were just like, They looked like sheep in wolf's clothing, or they acted like sheep in wolf's clothing, and maybe that was on purpose. and maybe it's also because I'm a very large adult man now, but like I was just like, in my head, I was like, I could fucking take you, you fucking piece of shit. So
yeah, I mean,
it's very hard to get out of my own head of what I would do now, let alone when I was a child. So
if you're in the situation of Davy and there's like 5 siblings, sure, it's going to be a little intimidating on you, understandably so. So yeah, I mean,
there's mainly the main kid, the oldest son.
Yeah,
he was not very good at all, and
yeah,
I mean, like
a lot
again,
of them. Sorry, I keep interrupting.
No, it's fine. I usually interrupt.
Good. I'm going to do it again.
You know, granted, it is a very hard role to fill, and a kid to act so horrible to someone is not a natural thing to do. That I'm sure he struggled with it a lot. So it's just, you know, I understandably a bad choice in casting, but still
they
just
also
a
had
bad,
a lot
bad
of
casting.
Vocally wise, I mean, they did all the cussing and what probably was on the script and everything like that, but they didn't do
It didn't
the
help
body
that
language
their voices didn't drop yet.
Yeah.
I'm not a. God damn it! I'm going to the fucking festival.
All right, kid. Damn.
There's the joke at an appropriate time.
Yep. But yeah, as far
you're right.
as
The body language.
as far as the movie itself, it was good, but it was a hard watch.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to watch it again necessarily, but I am going to watch an American Crime because I hate myself, and I'm just genuinely interested and would like to see more of the straight up, more what's the word? Faithful to the actual case.
Yeah.
The real life case is fucking unbelievable, especially when the guy in the video, I keep forgetting his name, I'm sorry, Simon, I think he said Simon.
Yeah.
Especially when he said at one point that the neighbors heard like screaming of help until basically 3 a.m. until it stopped, and they never called the cops.
Yeah.
There's go ahead.
There's minding your business, and then there's negligently minding your business. Like there are definitely people in this world today who don't mind their business enough. But if you hear someone screaming for help for like 3-4 hours, however long it was, call the cops. You don't have to go over there yourself and make it a thing, but just be like, hey, cops, this might just be a kid that's throwing a tantrum. And Simon said this in the video. Might just be a kid throwing a tantrum, but I've heard someone screaming help for a very long time coming from that house. You should check it out. Like, that's why we pay cops. That's why taxes pay for cops. That's why they're there. Most of the time, like, unless they're in a city, they're just waiting for something to happen. That's why, like, traffic laws are a thing, because it gives them something to do when nothing's happening. And it's to just, like, not want to inconvenience the cops or something, or get into someone else's business. Like, you could do it anonymously. And if the cops tell you it was nothing, believe them. Like, you don't need to continue to looking into it after that. It just infuriates me when people just don't do anything.
Yeah, and then it was very hard, the whole thing.
I will say that the ending of this is better than the ending of real life events.
Yeah,
with
sure.
Ruth getting I don't even know what that was. That a crutch to the head?
Yeah, it was. It was the sister's crutch.
Yeah, that was somewhat satisfying.
Yeah, it was. It was kind of the good but not good ending to Sylvia Likens' case. Obviously, because Meg still dies in this one. But like, at least Davy was there with her, and Ruth got her fucking shit smacked in. It's the good ending, but not the good ending in every case.
But that ending where where Dave's just trying to comfort her while the police officer gets like backup, which I don't know if that's what a police officer should do in that situation. Granted, it was the 60s; their radios might not have been as good as they are today. But that was a heartbreaking scene where it's just like him laying on the bed next to her, just trying to like be there with her, and the best
Yeah,
scene
and
in the
that's-
movie, unfortunately, because it's so sad. But it was a great scene.
Yeah, and I think that's why I like this movie more than, obviously the real case, because in this, at least you had Davey who was there for Meg or Sylvia.
Yeah.
And Sylvia didn't have fucking anything. She had her sister, but like her sister was being turned against her at every moment. And Sylvia in real life, she was just so fucking brave for doing everything and not putting any of the blame on her sister or trying to save her sister as much as she could.
Yeah.
Definitely a heartbreaking case if you're a parent, no doubt about that. Apparently one of her last, they said in I think the video, that one of her last words were like, she was like exclaiming for her dad. It's pretty, I'm not even a dad. I'm not by my fucking eyes. My fucking eyes, man.
No, but Blythe Offirth, who played Meg, did an incredible job as well. I can only imagine how tough it is for an actor to, as a job, be put through that humiliation. Obviously, compared to the real thing, it's a walk in the park, but it still can't be easy to be in that mindset, especially knowing that it's based on a true story. And she just did an incredible job with that.
Even being like the kids who were like torturing, like you've got, as a director, you've got to be like, listen, are you okay?
Yeah.
This is
Just
bad,
check in.
especially since they're kids, like that's huge toll on these guys. I don't know. It's very interesting stuff.
Very, very interesting. Very difficult watch. If you didn't end up watching this, I don't blame you one little bit. If you're never gonna watch it, I don't blame you. Like I said, least fun I had watching a movie ever, that I can think of at least. I'm sure there's another movie out there that I was like, that wasn't fun. Probably also based on a true story about horrible events.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really have anything else to say.
I think I'm in the same boat.
So that does it for our review. This brings us to the judgment for The Girl Next Door. Does it go onto the little shelf boy, become a little shelf boy, the KFR shelf, with the likes of Apostle and Handmaid? And Glenn, you picked this movie, so you get to decide first if it's unanimous or not.
How do I explain this the best way possible without sounding weird? I enjoyed learning and watching about it. I didn't like how I felt about watching it, and I don't want anybody to really watch this movie, but I guess learn from it and learn from the actual case.
Yeah.
And this, especially if you were learning about the case before you watched the movie, it's like this was like what you had kind of hoped had happened in that specific case, but it didn't. And this is like the closest thing you can get to somewhat having a good ending to that. And that's what I liked about it. And like overall, like it's making me feel like I'm still sitting here with these fucking eyes, man. I don't know. I don't necessarily say I want to put it on a shelf. I don't want people to watch it, but it is good in its own sense. And, I didn't have the worst time, even though I had the worst time. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does kind of. It feels disrespectful to not put it on the list.
Yeah.
Because, like, really my only problem with it is that this is just maybe 10% of the fucked up things that happened to Sylvia Likens. And that's just, going into the movie knowing that makes it such a hard watch. And even if it weren't based on a true story, it's just hard to see kids being abused like that.
Yeah.
So, like,
it's a predicament.
Yeah, like, just out of respect for the deceased and the victims, I would say it should go on the list. Just out of respect, like, it's a fine movie. It's decent made. From a film standpoint, nothing's gonna wow you. It's not gonna be fun to watch at all. But to say it doesn't go on the list just feels disrespectful, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I would say yes.
Same.
Yeah. So The Girl Next Door, out of respect, goes onto the list, it's the greatest respect you could give a person. Oh, I hate us, Glenn. What have we become? So the girl next door does go on the KFR shelf with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden. That brings us to our assignment for next week. Hopefully it's a little bit more fun. It is Streaming Roulette Week. So those of you who don't know how this works, we spin a very real, very large wheel that has
Huge.
all of the movies on all the streaming services we subscribe to on it, and we spin it 3 times, and we pick out of those 3 which one we would like to watch the most. So, without any further ado, here comes the first spin. The Burmese Harp. The Burmese Harp.
All right.
Let's see, where is this? This is going to be on
Japanese drama.
Criterion Channel, and we do know that I said I love Japanese movies from the late 50s, early 60s. In the world's closing days, when a conscience-driven Japanese soldier fails to get his countrymen to surrender to overwhelming force, he adopts the lifestyle of a Buddhist monk. It is directed by Kon Ichikawa, written by Michio Takayama and Nato Wada. It is starring Rentaro Mikuni, Shoji Yasui, Tatsuya Mihashi, and Jun Hamamura. Apologize if I mispronounced any of those names. And that is The Burmese Harp on Criterion Channel. 8 out of 10 also on IMDb. So, yeah. Looks
There's
like
that.
we're off to a good start.
Damn right.
Here comes spin number 2. The Aristocrats. Aristocats.
Believe it or not, I had just watched this movie recently.
Disney movie.
Yep. It's about a bunch of cats.
Yeah, Aristocrats is a completely different movie about a very dirty joke. But we're not watching it. I'm assuming this is on Disney Plus.
It's on Disney Plus, yes.
Oh shit! Damn it! Okay.
Not shit, damn it.
Shit, damn it! Yeah, it's on Disney Plus. It is with the help of a smooth-talking tomcat, a family of Parisian felines set to inherit a fortune from their owner. How does that work? Try to make it back home after a jealous
Crazy cat
butler.
ladies.
A jealous butler kidnaps them and leaves them in the country. Directed by Wolfgang Reitermann. Wolfgang Reitermann. Written by Larry Clemens, Vance Jerry, and Ken Anderson. It is starring Phil Harris, Ava Gabor, Sterling Holloway, and Scatman Crothers. Yes, Scatman Crothers. So that is the Aristocats on Disney Plus. Here comes spin number 2. Bonsoir Holiday. And that is from 1953, available on HBO Max. Bonsoir Hola comes to a beachside hotel for a vacation and accidentally, but good-naturedly, causes havoc. That sounds kind of fun, actually. Directed by Jacques Tati, written by Jacques Tati and Henri Marquet and Pierre Robert. I would like to apologize to everyone that speaks French. Although I might have done good, I don't know. I was just trying to be funny, but it is starring.
They'll rip you off either way.
Yeah, Jacques Tati, Nathalie Pasqua, Michel Rolla, and Valentin Comal. I'm sorry. I'm not correcting any of those. This is just too fun. And the original title is La Vacances de Bonsoir Hola.
Oh, we got 2 50s movies and a 70.
Yeah. I'm sorry. That cheered me right up after talking about that. It's just Jacques Tati, Henri Marquet, Pierre Aubray. Which one are you leaning?
I can tell you right now, I doubt you're going to want to watch Aristocats.
I've seen it a long time ago. I am not a fan of classic Disney movies. I think they kind of suck. Sorry, but not sorry.
I can do a quick review right now. It does not hold up like we were kids. When we were
I
kids.
can imagine. Yeah, I imagine it's slightly racist, probably.
I don't remember.
Or am I thinking of Lady and the Tramp with the Siamese cats?
You're definitely thinking of that one.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm
But
thinking.
yeah, I think overall it's it's good.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's gonna be on any shelf. Now we got the one you're gonna pronounce because you laugh at it, or the Burmese harp.
Bonsoir hula holiday. Or les vacations de bonsoir hula.
Exactly.
And then the Burmese harp.
I myself am leaning the Burmese harp.
I am also leaning the Burmese harp.
I am fresh off 47 Ronin, and I want to want watching some more old
and
Japanese
unlike
movies.
that, this is not 4 hours. It's only hour 56.
Yeah, so
Although
much better.
I do want to watch Bonsoir Hula's Holiday because
Yes.
I like people causing havoc. So there's that. But Burmese harp then.
Burmese harp.
All right, so that is going to be available on Amazon too. Let's just double check. No, not Amazon. That's just for DVD sales.
Get
It is
wrecked.
available on the Criterion channel, the Burmese harp.
作りの盾事はいかなる時も私たちに力を与えてくれました日本は降伏し水島は使者として三角山の部隊に降伏を進めに行きましたこれ戦っているのは無意味だ日本のためにもならず日本人のためにもならず自分のためにもなりません無意味です何意味だそれっきり水島は私たちから姿を消したのです
You can check that out before next week's episode. Thank you, everyone, for listening. As always, you can check out our website at www.keystonefilmreview.com. On Instagram, we are Keystone_Film_Review. Twitter, Keystone_Film. Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube, Keystone Film Review. Much quicker that way. Why haven't I done that before?
Was.
And on Letterboxd, I am Mike, KFR.
And I'm Glenn, KFR.
And that will do it until next week when we don't watch Bonsoir Hula's Holiday and instead watch the Burmese harp. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.